Hey guys, it's Van. I just wanted to say before the episode gets started that Chris and I are not medical professionals or parenting experts. We are just two moms with opinions and advice, and our podcast should not be used as a substitute for seeking help from your doctor or any other medical professional. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome back to another episode of Spiked Coffee and Sarcasm with Chris and Van. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Chris.
Did it sound silly again?
No.
The way that I said,
No.
Because I was trying to not sound silly.
Well, why though?
Hi, Dan.
No, you need
I don't
to
know.
just be you. Stop. Get out of your head. You're in your head.
You know
too
what
much.
I noticed?
What?
You know how I'm always telling you that I don't like the way that nobody likes the way they sound on when they're recording. Nobody likes that.
Yeah.
But I noticed that when I'm talking, just in normal, when I'm normally like we had to give a presentation at work last week, and I do the same thing when I'm just talking normal as I do the things that I don't like when I'm listening to our like when we edit. I do the same exact things. So it's just me hearing it back that's weird. It's not me. It's not anything new or because we're podcasting or whatever. It is just me. So
You're silly. But I agree.
know.
I don't like the way I sound when I listen back to our episodes either, but
it just sounds like I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes I listen to myself talk and I think, this is how people hear me? How do they stand me?
no, but the way you hear yourself hearing you back after you've been recorded, it's not how other people hear you. That's not your voice. You hear your voice different than other people do. It's a scientific.
No, you hear what other people actually hear.
I don't think so.
I think so, because
I don't think so.
If that were the case, then you would hear what you sound like in your own head while you're talking. But when you, when you record something and then you listen to it back and you hear the way you sound, it sounds weird. But whoever you're recording with they just hear your normal voice. Your normal voice is what you hear back. It's not what you think you hear or how you think you sound weird. That's what everybody hears. At least that's how I always...
I think you're wrong.
I don't know.
I don't think you're right. I think it's the opposite way. I think that the way that, like, when I listen to you on a recording, you sound like you. When you listen to me on a recording, I sound like me. But when I listen to me, I sound different than what you hear.
But that's what I'm saying. I think, because sometimes I'll catch, when I listen back to our recording, sometimes I'll catch a glimpse while I'm listening to it or while I'm talking of how it sounds while I'm recording. And I catch a glimpse of how I sound while I'm recording, so I know that that's what people hear. And I think, it's amazing that people don't.
I'm confused. Okay, moving on.
I just think that the way that you hear yourself when you're recording, it sounds different to you, but that's how you sound to other people. That's just me. I maybe I'm wrong, but that would be something.
No,
for
that's what
somebody
I said. It
answer.
sounds different to you, but it sounds normal to other people. Like
That's
what?
but that's what I'm saying. My normal
That's
voice.
not the way you said it.
Well, what I'm okay. So this would be something for somebody to answer.
Yes.
I would love to know what people think on this topic, because when I record and I listen back, it sounds strange
Google
to
it.
me, but nobody else hears it the way that I hear it, because that's the way that everybody hears it. That's why it doesn't sound strange to them. It just sounds strange to you.
No.
I think that you're wrong and I'm right.
Of course you do.
Just saying. But
the
anyway.
voice you hear when you speak is the combination of sound carried along both. Okay, never mind. That didn't make any sense. I'd have to read the whole thing.
Are you looking it up?
Yes, I'm Googling it because now I'm curious.
I totally think that the way that you sound to yourself is the way other people hear you. But you sound different to yourself. I think that's your real voice.
By air conduction. This is very scientific. When you listen to a recording of yourself speaking, the bone-conducted pathway that you consider part of your normal voice is eliminated, and you hear only the air-conducted component in unfamiliar isolation. You can experience the reverse effect by putting in earplugs so you hear only bone-conducted vibrations.
That is too scientific to answer my question.
I have to be honest. I didn't understand a damn word of that.
No. You ought to type in layman's terms.
Well, I am on... Because... You know the website that I'm on? Scientific American.
Well, now, why would you go somewhere like that when neither one of us...
Because the headline says, why does my voice sound so different when it's recorded and played back? Why wouldn't I click on that?
Okay, well, you have a point there.
Okay. But I still didn't understand what it said, so...
No. It's like Yanny and Laurel. Did you get caught up in that?
I listened to it twice, and I still heard the same thing, so I'm like, I don't understand this at all, whatever.
What'd you hear?
Laurel, I think, is what I heard.
So when the very first time I listened to it, the first 3 or 4 times, I heard Laurel. And I could not hear Yanny at all. No chance.
No.
They were saying Laurel. 100% Laurel. Then later that day, I listened to the same thing that I posted myself on my wall on Facebook. I listened to it again, and I couldn't hear Laurel at all. And Mark couldn't hear Yanny. And I thought, there's no way that's the same thing I posted. It's not possible because I can't hear Laurel at all now. I can only hear Yanny. And now when I listen to it, I only hear Yanny. Mark and Katie hear Laurel. I don't even want to play anymore.
I listened to it twice and I was like, this is stupid.
And then so I've heard this new craze out about the whole Kiki, I love you, dancing outside your car thing. Seriously, people do that? Are people really doing that?
Mm-hmm.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Somebody here did it on the freeway. You can't fix stupid.
You know what?
You can't fix stupid. I'm telling you, you can't fix stupid.
Somebody said it best when they said, why can't they make a challenge to take out the garbage or pick up your clothes or whatever?
It was a meme. I was like, that's free. It was on Instagram. Somebody that we follow on Instagram posted it. And it said, why can't they make a challenge of clean your room or take out the trash that my kids can follow?
Yeah, time it. Make that a challenge.
Right?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Record yourself doing that. Dancing outside your car. You know what I would do if that was... I'd do the same thing I've seen a couple of different like YouTubers do. I'd wait till they got out of the car and then drive away and leave their ass sitting there. There is no way. And I wouldn't be the one getting out of my car and dancing. How stupid is that? I have a cousin named Kristen, and her nickname is Kiki. Oh, I'll bet she's loving this right now.
Oh, I bet.
It's just, yeah.
So
no.
I tried to go to a different website, but this one is just as confusing. So anyway, yeah, somebody who understands this stuff, just email us and let us know why and who's right. Because, anyway. So, question about our topic today. Because you have a 22-year-old daughter and a now 17-year-old son and two other teenagers, which I'm surprised you're even walking and talking at this point. But how did you approach the subjects of drugs and sex? And I guess those are the two major things that you have to talk to your kids about. How did you talk to your kids about those things? Because I'm just, I had to have a talk with Nathan before he started high school about that stuff. So I just want to know how you talk to your kids about that stuff.
Okay. Well, let me just first tell you that Alyssa, my first one, the one who's going to be 23 this year, she brought the subject to me. And it wasn't in a way of, hey, Mom, she didn't come to me and ask me about it. Mm-hmm. It was more of a, here, let me throw you into this and see how you handle it.
She still does that to this day.
I know that. She's definitely paved the way for... I am desensitized to a bunch of these different topics thanks to her.
Yeah.
Because when she was little and this stuff came up, there were things that I just was not ready to tell her. And I had no choice because it was there in my face and I had to explain it.
Exactly.
So, the topic of sex, of course, is taboo with any parent. I think that it's really hard to have that conversation with your kids anyway. But any topic, sex, drugs, rock and roll, for lack of a better term.
Alcohol.
Periods and puberty and, I mean, even if we're going to go as far as to say, like, masturbation and all of that stuff.
All of that, yep.
All of those things came to me in a tidal wave of, here, this is what I have to do, or this is what I want to know about, and explain it. And it was, okay, so for me, I don't know how many times I called you crying or called my mom crying, or because I just was not ready to handle this. And truthfully, when it came to Alyssa, she was about 7 when all of this stuff started coming to surface for me with her.
Yep.
She has always been the kid that was more curious than any other kid I knew.
Yeah.
Or that wanted to know more than any other person I knew. Or that had questions that were beyond her age. She was a curious kid. So for her to ask me questions, that always caught me off guard. And even now, once in a while, some of the things she says make my jaw drop. Like, they catch me completely off guard, and I don't know how to answer them sometimes. But we'll just go with the easiest, most taboo subject, with sex. Alyssa came straight out and asked me about it one day. And like I said, she was about 7. And once the questions started rolling in and I fumbled all over myself trying to figure out the right way to answer it, I bought a book.
Yeah.
And that's how I explained certain things to her. That's how basically what I did was I bought a book that was appropriate for her age. And it had like cartoonish pictures and, very, very basic level descriptions. And the book was called It's Perfectly Normal. Mm-hmm. And it had like little cartoon characters in it.
I know.
And it explained
I've seen
things.
That book. Yeah.
It explained things in a way that weren't so scary for me, but easy for her to understand. Like, this book had pictures of men and women, and big and small, tall and short, heavy and thin, everything that you could think of, and every single topic that was taboo was touched on in this book. So the subject of sex, I got The Miracle of Life, and because she was, at the time that this came up, she was going through this, I love babies and all of that. So The Miracle of Life, somebody loaned me the movie, and we watched it together, and we read the book together, and if she had questions, I basically just answered them. My advice as far as that goes is just don't let them know they caught you off guard, because as soon as they know that they've caught you off guard, then it becomes a game. And that's where it was a learning curve with me and Alyssa, because she did catch me off guard. Every chance she got, she asked me something that just threw me for a loop, and it was hard for me to answer.
Yeah.
But this book really helped me. This book really gave me a lot of insight on how to approach things with her and talk to her about things that I wasn't ready to talk to her about. It basically answered the questions for me, which made it easier for me and her to have a conversation about it. As far as like drugs and stuff go, I feel like, knock on wood, I've been very lucky in that area. Alyssa, as she grew up, she joined the military, and she is very committed to not getting kicked out. She doesn't want that kind of thing going on her record, or being, she just, like, somebody had started a rumor saying that she was smoking pot. And again, the topic of marijuana comes up, where it's not necessarily a drug, even though it is. It's illegal and this and that. It's the least of the worst drugs you can do.
Yeah.
She got very, very offended that somebody would say that she's doing that, because she's not. And I think if she was, she would tell me. Her being 23 now, she doesn't feel like she needs my approval for anything, so I think she would tell me. But it was one of her brother's friends that said to him, "Hey, your sister smokes pot all the time," and she was like, "I absolutely do not do that." So that topic, that opened the door for me to have a conversation with my 17-year-old son. And this was a couple years ago. So he was like, I don't know, 15. And so the conversations that I have with my kids about these topics, I just face them head on. Don't beat around the bush about them. If you have a question, ask me. I will answer any question that I can for you. Because if you hide and beat around the bush and, kind of walk around the subject, then they walk away as confused as they were when they started. Well, you just need to be straight up and honest with them.
Well, and if you're not straight up and honest and you make it taboo and you don't talk about it, they're going to go find somebody else to talk to, and that person's going to give them so much misinformation and either make it sound really, make drugs sound really cool, and you should do them, versus your conversation would have been, they're not good, and here's the consequences, and you can't pass up an opportunity to have a conversation with your kids. And I'm like you, I just face them head on. If you have a question and you're going to ask me about it, I'm just going to answer you. I'm going to be honest. I do not shield my kids from very much, I obviously don't let them watch porno movies, and I don't let them do drugs. But if a question is presented or a situation is presented to us and they have questions, I'm going to answer honestly. And I was just telling this story to somebody at work the other day. When Ian was younger, he was probably 3 or 4, and it was boobies, boobies, boobies. Everything was about boobies. And it was just got to the point where I was like, oh my gosh, stop talking about the boobies already, And so one day he asked me, he said, why do mommies have big boobies and daddies have little boobies? Because guys only have the nipple part. And I said, okay, I'm so over the boobie thing, I'm just going to tell this kid straight up. So I said, mommies have big boobies because that's where they store the milk, and when the baby gets hungry, the baby sucks on the nipple and gets the milk out of the mommy's boobie. That's why they have big boobies and daddies don't. That kid, the look on his face was like, what the hell? Wait, what do you mean they suck on it? And wait, what? He was just mortified. I can tell you one thing, though. I never heard another thing about boobies. That was over. I just can't. And speaking of, when you were talking about the miracle of life.
Yep.
The other night, Ian and I were laying in bed, and somehow the subject of how a baby is made, how a baby gets into the uterus of a woman,
right?
How does that happen? And so we were on YouTube and we were looking, up videos of how a baby progresses and how, not the sex part of it, not how the sperm gets to where it goes. Because after we were watching these videos, he was like, oh, okay. And so he's talking about fallopian tubes and, the uterus. And, we're having this conversation, and I'm being honest and answering all of his questions. But then he says, but I don't understand. How does the sperm get there? How does the sperm get to the fallopian tubes? And I'm like, that's another question for another time. Let's just wait. Just don't worry about how it gets there. Just know that it gets there.
One overwhelming topic at a time, Ian.
I was like, you're only 11. That subject we're not really ready to talk about that yet. So,
could you imagine if he had already, if you're telling him after the fact, after the actual sex part, and the sperm is inside the woman now, and it's making its way to wherever it goes. If he was like, oh, and that's could you imagine the look on his face if he put 1 and 2 together?
Well, and okay, to be honest, there's a chance he already knows about that.
I'm sure.
They
watch YouTube.
Yeah, so
there's a big chance.
My kids pretty much know about sex and how it works, and they've seen some movies because their dad doesn't. Anyway, another subject.
He doesn't censor everything.
Not everything. And they have, what's funny to me is, okay, with Nathan, we've had the talk, and, this year it was okay, you're going to be 15. This is the time in your life where you might want to start experimenting with this and, with girls and all of that. I'm like, I just need you to know that you've got to protect yourself. The basic, you got to do this. So, and his response is just like, all right, like Nathan isn't really, I know he likes girls, but there hasn't been much of all about girls time. Like we're not there yet. We're not at that point. It's all about Fortnite and Xbox at this point. Girls are like second in line. And nothing really phases Nathan much. Like we can talk about, anything in drugs and all that, and he just kind of says, okay, like I know he's hearing what I'm saying, but he just doesn't have a reaction to it. Ian, on the other hand, is a little different.
He's more animated than Nathan.
He's very animated, and like I can say things like, we were watching Celebrity Family Feud the other night, and one of the questions was, what is something that a woman, like, what's a present that a woman would like for her husband to bring home? And me, being the sarcastic mom that I am, and it's probably not appropriate, but whatever, I said a big piece of meat. And Ian's was like, Mom, don't say that. I was like, well, I'm only, it's true. And I said, okay, a hot dog. He goes, no, don't say that. But then on the other hand, we were cleaning out their rooms the other day, and Nathan has this donut pillow, and then they had like a stuffed like thing from Minecraft, and it resembles a penis a little bit. And so Ian takes the donut pillow and the Minecraft thing and starts putting them together, and I was like, really?
Okay, so maybe he does know about sex.
Yeah. I was like, okay, Ian. I'm like, my response to those types of things are not appropriate. Like, that's not appropriate. Like, you don't need to be, if you know about it, that's fine, but simulating it is not okay. Let's just, So, and I do talk to them about drugs. Like, I'm always reading stuff about the newest things that are out there and what kids are doing and any, news stories that come out. And as soon as I hear about something, I sit them both down and I'm like, okay, what do you guys know about this? Most of the time they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'd say, okay, well, I'm going to let you know that this is out here. You might be presented with this. And I'm going to tell you right now, there was one that it's like, even if you get it on your fingertips and it absorbs into your skin, it literally can kill you. And yeah, and I told him, and it's something that you can buy on Amazon. Like, you can buy this stuff on Amazon. That's the scariest thing to me, because it's so accessible, and I told him what it was. I can't, off the top of my head right now, remember what it is. I'd have to go back and look it up again. But I talked to them about it, and I said, if somebody wants you to participate in something with this, you just please say no, because, and I'm honest, it will kill you. Like, it's not just something that will make you sick and you'll be in the hospital for a while. It's going to kill you. And especially when it comes to drugs, I lay it all out. This is what heroin's going to do to you. This is what crack cocaine will do to you. We've talked about marijuana. We've talked about alcohol. I am not one of those parents that we're going to keep it hush hush until they're quote unquote old enough. No. If you wait until they're quote unquote old enough, you're too late.
It's too late.
You're too late. Because they already know, and they've already done things that you don't want to hear about and you don't want to know about. So it's too late.
Yeah. I generally take the approach where, I do talk to them about things if I hear things or whatever, or if I've heard something that I wonder about if they've ever heard or done it, I go right up to them and ask them. A lot of times we live in a small town, so it's almost like a network of people keeping in touch with people, because generally something that has happened before somebody knows that you've done something before you even know you've done it. Seriously, that is, you hear, my boss used to say, not my boss now, but my old boss used to say, I sit down with you guys because you already know what's coming before I've even heard about it. Because the rumors, generally there's some truth to a rumor. Start somewhere. Usually it's something like, the fact of the rumor is this person, and then the rumor part has done this, and this. It's generally just the people involved.
It's an
it's
an over exaggeration of
there.
The truth. Yeah.
Exactly. So, like, I can't tell you how many times we've been in a situation where I've heard something and I've gone to, well, I'll use work as an example just because that's the first thing I can think of right now. But I'll hear something at work that involves, like, my job and something moving forward. So I'll go to my boss and say, this is what I heard. How true is it? And a lot of times she has said, well, you know more than me because I haven't heard that yet. You know what I mean? So, but if I feel like I've heard something, a lot of times, like the situation with Alyssa and her smoking pot all the time. Brandon heard it from his friend, who then conveyed it to me. So I went right to Alyssa and said, okay, this is what I've heard. How true is it? And she was really upset by it. Yeah. I mean, even if she's doing it, the way that they make it sound like her whole life she rises and sets with smoking pot. And that's not how the situation is.
Yeah.
So if I hear something, I go straight to him and say, look, this is what I heard. How true is it? Stuff like you said, I don't know about the one that you were talking about where it if you touch it, it can kill you or whatever. But I have a direct connection with, or I've been directly or indirectly affected by crystal meth and cocaine and alcoholism and that kind of thing. I mean, I've seen what it can do, and I want my kids to know, look, this is how it will affect you. This is how it can affect you. And not just with drugs or alcohol, but like, sex. Yes, people have sex. They do it all the time. And it's sad that it's not
not everybody.
I love you thing. Well, okay. Not everybody.
Just kidding. Sorry, go on.
It's sad that it's not way back when it used to be, a man and a woman, when they love each other, they blah, 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 blah. It's not so much like that anymore. It's more casual than that. Mm-hmm. But aside from it just causing pregnancy when you're young, you can also get diseases. And some of those diseases do kill you. I mean, there are some things that can kill you. So trying to educate my kids on stuff like that and being very clear about it. Or situations like you were talking about with the donut and the Minecraft thing. Mm-hmm. My kids will do stuff like that, and then I'll say, I don't get it. What does that mean? Then it puts them on the spot, and they're like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
They try and work around it. For me, it's just best to go straight up and approach it head on.
Exactly.
Just ask them straight up, answer honestly, tell them the truth. Because the minute you lie about it and they find out, I mean, it's like, I think I had mentioned this before, where I told you think you're doing the right thing by telling your kids something to make them not do it, and it winds up backfiring in your face, like telling your kids they're never going to poop again if they swallow a penny, and then your kid accidentally swallows a penny. Fallout from that is way worse than telling them, don't do this because...
Yeah.
So just tell them the truth and be honest with them, because if you don't, then what happens next it sometimes can be worse than the actual thing you're trying to prevent.
Now, do you remember you having a conversation with your mom at all about sex or drugs or anything like that? Do you remember ever having a conversation with her?
Only when... Yes, I do remember having conversations with her, but not in that capacity. It wasn't one day she sat me down and said, this is the birds and the bees, or this is why you shouldn't do drugs.
Yeah.
The only time that I ever had a conversation that I remember was when I got teased in the 7th grade because I didn't know what masturbation was, and I went home and yelled at my mom because she never told me about it. That was, like, her and I had a conversation, like, years later about this. And she was talking about, from her perspective, now I've had kids and I wasn't in 7th grade anymore. But that day that happened to me, I went home and I totally blew up at her. Like, I was freaking out because how could she not tell me? Like, I'm sitting there going, they teased me about this and why didn't you tell me and this and that? Well, imagine that happening. I mean, for her, she's like, she walks in the door and gets blindsided by her 7th grader getting pissed off that she didn't know what masturbation meant. My mom was like, she didn't know what to say. So years later, when she's telling me her side of the story, she goes, I was in complete shock. I walk in the door and all of a sudden you're in my face telling me I never told you what masturbation was. She goes, I would have told you. I just didn't know you didn't know. You know, she goes, I was completely taken aback. And then she brought up, for that direct situation, she goes, don't you remember in the movie The Toy, when they were talking about, they were all sitting around at the table and somebody went Master Bates, because his name was something Bates. And everybody laughed. And I went, and now you have to know that when I was in the 7th grade, The Toy was huge, that movie. So that was the first thing that she could think of. Do you know what movie I'm talking about?
I don't.
It's the movie with it was with Richard Pryor and the kid. It was Richard Pryor and Jackie Gleason. Jackie Gleason was rich and he had a son and hired Richard Pryor to entertain his son while he was here for the summer. And
I don't think I ever watched
the
that.
little kid had everything, and he, you know, Jackie Gleason's character, Master Bates, owned a like a toy store, and he was anyway, Richard Pryor was in it, and long story short, that they were sitting around the table eating dinner and somebody made a comment about Master Bates while they were, you know, and she goes, don't you remember when they said that? And everybody at the table laughed, and I was like, no, like, how am I supposed to know this? It was a big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, those kind of things, my mom had no idea I didn't know what that meant. Just like in the 5th grade, I didn't know what a lesbian was. So I go home after being teased because I had no idea what a lesbian was, and they teased me on the school bus about it, and I'm telling my mom, why didn't you tell me what this means? She's going, I didn't even know you didn't know,
well,
you know, like.
And it's like, I didn't know I was supposed to tell you in the 5th grade what a lesbian is.
That's exactly
like,
right.
You just don't ever know what's going to come up and what they're going to hear. So it's like, you can't be prepared for that kind of stuff, you know? It was just like, I know in one episode we talked about Nathan and him using the word gay, you know, for everything. Yes. And him just thinking, well, it means happy, you know? Yep. And you have to, you know, then you have to explain. But
what the slang means.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I can't remember not one conversation that I had with either one of my parents about sex. Nothing. Like, I don't remember either one of them. And it may have happened, but I have blocked out a lot of my childhood. Since when my parents got divorced, it was kind of like one of those things where I just kind of, things just got blocked out. I remember the day that my dad found out I was having sex. I remember that day. But I don't remember, you know, because my parents divorced right as I was going into high school. And I lived with my dad. So, you know, dads usually don't talk to their daughters about that kind of stuff. And I know that I learned how to put in a tampon from Jennifer. She was the one that told me how to put in a tampon. So I learned that from friends. So, yeah, I don't remember ever having, like, candid conversations with my parents about this kind of stuff. I just don't think it happened back then. I don't think it was something that, you know, that they weren't as open as what we are with our kids now. So.
Well, and I think that the information or even the wrong information is too readily available. People, like I said, it's such a, like, for sex being the topic, it's such a casual thing anymore. There's no, it's not, the meaning of it isn't there like it was when we were kids. You know, you always heard Grandma and Grandpa talk about their love for each other and they saved each other. You know what I mean? They saved themselves for each other, whatever. But anymore, you can go on YouTube at any time of the day and they're making some reference to sex. Always. It doesn't, that part of it is so desensitized anymore that kids just, it's like just part of their everyday. I mean, they're watching anything on TV, and what is now PG-13 was rated R when we were kids. Oh, yeah. I mean, if you go back, if you were to go back and watch the show Porky's, or whatever from when we were kids. There was no way my mother would let me watch that show. And anymore, that show is probably PG-13 now, based on the stuff that they have out that kids can see. I mean, they see things on TV and then they come and ask you about it. Well, if they're not going to ask you, they're going to find out somewhere. They're going to ask their friends. They're going to ask somebody. You know, it's one of those things where you either have to face it head on and answer them truthfully, or they're going to find out from somebody, and it may not be the right information. And that's it.
I'm one of those moms too that I'll just randomly ask questions and catch them off guard to see what their reactions be. Because I've asked Nathan straight up, "Do you watch nudie videos? Like, have you ever watched like a nudie video? You know, like, because I'm not dumb. Right. He's 14. Like." If he hasn't watched one yet, he will be watching one soon. Like, there's free porn out there all over the internet. And I'm not oblivious to the fact that this could happen. So I've asked him straight up, have you ever watched a dirty video? And, he just kind of looks at me like, why would you ask me something like that? And he would say, no. And, I would like to believe he's telling me the truth, but there's a little part of me that says, yeah, okay, whatever. And I've asked him questions of, have you, do you look at, pictures of girls, like, half dressed? And, he tells me no, which I know that's not true. And, I just come straight out. I've asked Nathan, do you have hair in your armpits yet? Do you have hair on your winky? And he just, like, mortified. Mom, why are you asking me these questions? Well, because you're not going to tell me. Like, you're not going to just come up and tell me that you're starting to get pubic hair. Like, I just want to know because, one of those could become ingrown and you're going to have this big bump down there and you're not going to know what it is. And I just need to know that if that happens and you come to me, that's probably what it is. Like, I guess I'm trying to prepare myself for what's coming. Yeah. And you're not going to... And with the medication that he takes, I have to make sure that his pee is not like a dark... like. So I'm asking him all the time, what's your pee look like? And he just gives me this look like, why do you want to know what color my pee is? And I have to tell him.
Because I need to know if you have liver damage or not, son.
And that's what I tell him. Because of this medication that you're taking, I have to know if your pee is a darker yellow than it normally is, you need to let me know. Because it means something else is going on. So, yeah, there's a lot of things. Honestly, I say things to Ian just to get a reaction out of him most of the time.
Sure.
Like, he would be sitting on the couch and he's just, like, moving his butt in a certain way, and I'll be like, what are you doing? And he's always has a blanket, like, up to his neck for whatever reason. And he's just, like, moving his butt. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, I'm just moving my butt. I said, well, it looks like you're playing with your winky. And he just... Mom, that's gross. Why would I do that? And I'm like, well,
you know what? Let's touch this topic again in another couple years.
Yeah, I'm like, you'll understand later. And then I looked at him and I went, do you think Nathan does that? And he just, man, gross, Mom. I can't believe. But you know what? Maybe there's probably going to be a lot of people that don't agree with me on that, and they don't do that with their kids, and that's fine. But the way that I look at it is that I don't want it to be taboo. I don't want it to be something that we don't talk about in our house.
Yeah.
Because I want a line of communication open. And I don't sit down and go through graphic details of sex or whatever, but I want them to know that I know about this stuff. I know what happens. I know what's going to go through your head. I've been there. I've done that. And I don't want you to try and hide it from me because I already know. And if you have questions, come and talk to me because I'm going to be honest with you. They already know I'm going to be honest because that's all I've ever been. And now, keep in mind, I don't do this stuff to my kids on a daily basis. This is just like random when I see an opportunity. I'm not asking if they're playing with their winkies on a daily basis. I just want to make that clear. That's not something.
And there's my little disclaimer there. No. Okay, so when my kids got older, you change their diapers and everything. So as a mom, you're always checking when you change their diapers. You check to make sure that their pee is the right color, they're getting enough to drink, that their poop is the right color, that everything's the right consistency, everything is normal.
Yes.
But once they get to a point where you're not allowed in the bathroom with them anymore, or whatever, age. I think Brandon was like 4 when he. Maybe 3 when he started going to the bathroom, was able to wipe his own butt. That was it. You're not allowed in the bathroom anymore.
That was early.
Okay.
Nathan didn't start doing that till he was 5. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, maybe 5. I'm just saying when he was at an age where he didn't need my help anymore.
Yeah.
That's the last time that I was in the bathroom with him. So I told all my kids, and I've told, not at the same time. I didn't sit them all down at the same time, but I have told them, as the opportunity presented itself, if I needed to make sure that they were going to the bathroom at least once a day, just to make sure that they're going, because if they're not going and something's wrong, something we need to check into.
Yes.
And that it was the right, I only need to know about it if there's blood in it, or if there's, what I mean, just those general little things that you would never think to tell your kids, but randomly, yes.
Yeah, and they need to know that kind of, they need to know that stuff too, that this is stuff you need to look out for when, like you should be looking at your poop. When you're done pooping, you should be turning around and looking at it. Like, you should, because your poop tells you a lot about what's going on the inside. So, well, I mean, it's true. Your doctor will tell you. It is true. Your doctor will tell you need to look at your poop, or at least look at what you're wiping off your butt, because, if there's blood there, that's a serious thing. Same thing with pee. Mm-hmm. Before you flush the toilet, you should, well, for guys, that's not a big deal because you're looking at it anyway, but, for women.
Unless they're spraying the bathroom.
Oh, Lord.
Looking everywhere but the toilet.
Why? This is something that I will never, ever, ever, ever understand. It is a straight shot. You have to hold it between your 2 fingers, your thumb and your forefinger.
And you can aim it.
And you have control of this thing. Why is it that it just goes everywhere but the toilet? Why? Like, I really wish that I would have potty trained my kids, my boys, to sit down and pee.
Sitting down.
I wish I would have potty trained them. I saw something, I read an article a couple months ago about a woman who potty trained her son to sit down and pee, because honestly, there's no reason why they have to stand up to pee. For some reason...
Except for a masculinity issue.
Well, yeah, somewhere...
But that's it.
Yeah, at some point, some guy, I'm sure it was a guy, it had to have been a guy, said, oh, I'm going to stand up and pee. Why?
Well, okay, so on the flip side of that, guys who are younger, like in their, once they hit puberty until they're about, I don't know, until they're 45 years old or whatever, then they wake up with a, they're a little bit stiff in the morning. So that could be the reason why, because it's easier to manage that standing up versus sitting down and pushing it down.
Okay.
I don't know, but that's the only thing I can think of. That would be the only reason I could think that boys need to stand up to pee versus sitting down.
Yeah.
But even so, you push that shit down. It's not made of, well, it might be made of whatever, but
well, and
it could be pushed down.
In this article, she said, I taught my kids to sit down and pee when you're at home. If you walk into a public restroom and there's a urinal, you can stand up and pee in the urinal. But when you're at home, you need to sit down and pee. Like, that was and God, I wish I would have read that article when my kids were young, and I wish I would have thought about that, because I hate walking in, especially my downstairs bathroom, because that's where, well, at least Ian does, because Nathan's upstairs most of the time. And I don't clean the bathroom upstairs. The bathroom that's upstairs is their bathroom. I don't clean that one. That is your pee on the floor and around the toilet. You are cleaning that up. I didn't put any of that pee right there. So, that is all you. But I wish I would have done that.
That's why my boys are responsible for cleaning the bathrooms, because they're the ones who stand up and pee everywhere but the toilet.
Yeah. And I'm the only girl.
They pee around it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm the only girl in this house, so... And I know I've told this story on, I think, another episode a while back, but and it was pertaining to this. When Nathan was younger, he would never lift the toilet seat. Would never lift it.
Yep.
So there would be pee on it all the time. So I would go sit down, and guess what I get on my butt? Pee. That is like the most uncomfortable feeling in the world. You're like, ugh, really?
Yeah,
now
it is gross.
I have pee on my butt. That's fantastic. So after about...
Thank you.
After about, what?
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah. I have to... So I finally said, after, I don't know, the umpteenth time that I have sat in his pee, I finally said, Nathan, look, the next time I sit down on the toilet and I get your pee on my butt, guess who's wiping it off? My butt. You. You're going to wipe it off. And the look on his face was, no, that's not going to happen. And guess what? He lifts the toilet seat every time now. Because he doesn't want to wipe pee off my butt. And I've said it to Ian too, because I go and look now. And whoever was in the bathroom last, I'm like, come here. Take some toilet paper and wipe this off. Because if I would have sat down in that, you'd be wiping it off my butt. So wipe it off now. I don't know. I don't play with that. No, that's gross. I can't do it. It is
gross.
I can't do it.
That's, like, okay, so I got to tell you a funny story. So we've had the conversation about who does chores and all this stuff and how I'm on strike right now because nobody will clean up after themselves. So I'm just not doing anything.
Yeah.
I don't even care. Right now I'm in Dylan's room. It's a disaster. I'm not cleaning it. I don't care. So I'm not doing anything right now. I'm not cleaning the kitchen. I'm not taking out the garbage. I'm not cleaning the cat box. I'm not doing anything at all right now. So anyway, Dylan, this was a couple weeks ago. He come walking out, and they rotate chores. But the only chore they really rotate is the kitchen. They don't rotate any of the other chores. And I really need to set up a schedule where they have to rotate and do, like, one person does the kitchen and the living room. Another person feeds the animals and cleans the bathroom. Another person does the mud room and whatever.
Do they get allowance? Do you pay them for doing their chores?
Only if they do more than their actual chores. If they go above and beyond, then yes. Or I'll say, hey, I will pay you to do this because it's extra. I don't think that kids, and maybe I'm wrong for this, maybe if I did pay them, they would take more pride in it. I don't know. But I don't think that kids should get paid for taking pride in their house. I just have never done that. But that being said, I never really, like, if they want to go and do something, I don't often tell them no, they can't do it without giving them money either. But if they want to earn money, then if they do something extra, then yes, I do pay them. But this one in particular, Dylan come walking out and he had gone into the bathroom and he comes walking out. Now the bathroom is Brandon's chore right now. Dylan comes out and he sits down on the couch and he went, I am not going to the bathroom in there until Brandon cleans the seat. There is pee everywhere. And I went, well, you know where the cleaning stuff is, little boy. You get in there and do it. And his jaw about hit the floor. But that's Brandon's chore. I said, yeah, you pee on the seat too. You can clean it up.
Yeah.
And he was so mad at me. He was so mad that I would make him do that. But yeah, he wound up cleaning the bathroom that day.
Yeah. Well,
he don't really complain about it anymore, though.
Well, usually it only takes one time, but so with the whole allowance thing, like, I have tried so many times to, like, set up chore charts and, money and my kids never stick to it. Like, it doesn't matter. They just don't stick to it. So I do it as, I always ask them to do things around the house for me. Like, they empty up their portion of the dishwasher. Like Nathan does the top, Ian does the bottom. And, taking out the trash, cleaning the upstairs bathroom, vacuuming the living room.
Yep.
But I don't have them do it on a weekly basis. I just, when it needs to be done, I ask them to do it. That's what it is. So when they want money for something, like Nathan wants to buy something on Microsoft or on Xbox, the first thing, he'll come down and say, what can I do to get this game? What can I, and I'll give them chores out, like you said, outside of what they normally do. Like, I'll say, well, the garbage needs to be taken out and clean up the playroom, or get all the water bottles out of your room, or clean the bathroom, or vacuum the upstairs. Something so that they earn money, but they don't get a weekly allowance. I've tried, but it just doesn't work. And what I feel kind of like a bad parent, but I had gotten they have cards. They're like debit cards. They both have one.
Yep.
Nathan carries his, I have Ian's, and I have a debit card all from this one company, and I can put money on my card, and then I can disperse that money between the two of them for like allowances. Well, since I got the cards, finances have been a little tight, so I haven't really been putting money on their cards. They did get $50 on their cards, and Nathan's was gone within a week because he just bought shit on Xbox. Ian he kind of used his sporadically. I have been keeping kind of track of what they've been doing for me, so when I do get a little extra money, I can put it in those accounts and they can use it. So it's kind of just like teaching them more of, this is how you have to manage. I like the cards because you have to manage your money, and I've showed them how to log on. This is how you can log on to see what your balance is. And Ian's so cute because he'll call me at work because I have his card. I don't let him keep his card because Nathan will just take his card and use the money that's on it. That's how it happens in my house. And so Ian will call me and he'll go, I'll answer the phone at work and he'll go, I need my credit card information, please. And so I have to give it to him over the phone. It's quite humorous. But,
that's funny.
Yeah, that's another hard thing about, with kids too, and like doing chores. And, I always tell Nathan, because he thinks I make him do it's just horrible how much I make him do. Like, he does everything, apparently.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
I'm not the only one.
Yeah. And so I'll tell him, I'll say, like, next time you're online with all your friends, why don't you just ask each one of them if they have to do chores when they get home from school? Just ask them if they have certain chores that they have to do before they can get on the Xbox. Ask them and see how many they do. And then you can ask yourself, how much do you really do? Because I don't ask for much. And Nathan doesn't like me this right now because I told him I have control. I can go onto a website and I can set times to where my internet, like my router, will be off and on at certain times. Yep. So I told him, I said, once school gets going, it's still the very first part of school, so they don't have a lot of homework, whatever. But once we get into the school year and you have homework and stuff, that's going to be off from 3 to 5. And that's when you're going to do your homework. And if you do your homework and you get done, I can turn it back on because I just have to log on to the website and I can do that from work. But between 3 and 5, it's going to be off until you get homework done. I'm not doing any of this, I'm going to do homework after dinner. No, you're not. You're going to do homework as soon as you get home because why wait? Why not just do it as soon as you get home?
Get it all done and be... You know what? I told Mark, I said, boy, they're really going to... I just told him this the other day. I said, they're really going to be upset when they wake up Monday morning and the router's at work with me.
Yep.
Seriously. Because Van, I am so right here, right now with these kids. They want, but they refuse to do. I hate walking in my house, and my first thought is, why didn't you do this?
Yeah. Because
my kids do have chores that they have to do every day. Every day. Because they're home all day long. It's all them making messes in the kitchen. It's all them peeing all over the bathroom. It's all of them. Like Dylan, he doesn't even sleep in his room during the summertime. He sleeps on the couch. So all of his bedding is in the living room. It's all them. And I'm so frustrated right now that they won't do the simple... It is not hard to take the dog out, to feed the cats, to clean the cat box, to clean up the bathroom, the living room, and the kitchen. There is a split between 3 of them and the mudroom. Straighten up the mudroom. Split between the 3 of them. It is not hard to do that. And they won't. And I'm beyond upset about it. Like, it's to the point now where it's giving me crazy anxiety, and I hate walking in the door and saying, instead of saying, hi you guys, how was your day? I haven't seen you all day, and just being upbeat and happy about it, I walk in the door and I can't believe my house is a disaster still.
Yeah.
that they didn't clean. I cannot wait for school to start again.
Oh,
for the love of God, please.
I'm excited about that too. Yep. I'm glad that school has started.
That's the thing. They don't clean up after themselves. They don't. They just expect. Like right now, I'm sitting here in this room. Brandon's been on his computer all day long. He hasn't gone to work. Dylan and Katie are in watching a movie with Mark. Everything needs to be done. So I'm doing my own laundry. That's it. Nobody else's laundry is getting done. Just mine and Mark's. Because Mark, if I were to say to Mark, I need help with this, Mark would absolutely help me with it.
Mm-hmm.
If I needed the bathroom clean, he'd get on his hands and knees and scrub a toilet. There is no problem with that. But you ask my kids to do any of that stuff, and it's an argument from beginning to end. In fact,
for sure.
If you were to ask Dylan to do anything, it does not matter. I can give Katie and Brandon a list this long. I asked Dylan to do one thing, and you make me do everything.
Oh.
It's this big argument every single time. It does not matter, and that kid will have to have the last word.
Yep, that's
He will
Nathan.
fight with me, and
That's Nathan.
So
yep.
That's why I'm on strike right now.
Yep.
I haven't made dinner in 3 days. I haven't done anything. Since like Thursday. I had like a meltdown at work. I was so pissed. I had a meltdown at work, and I said, you know what? I'm done. I am done with this. I am on strike. So they texted me and said, Dylan was supposed to do this because he didn't finish. He was supposed to do the kitchen because he only did half of it. Dylan says Katie only did half of it the night before. So my whole process was, you know what? Figure it out. I'm on strike. I'm not doing any of this.
Yeah.
Hopefully, at some point, they decide that they're going to do their part so that I can stop feeling like the world's worst mom. But right now, you know, like Dylan, he says, Mom, I'm hungry. We don't have any food in the house. And I was like, wow, that really sucks. So I don't know. I'm at the point now where I just feel like I can't win. And I'm done.
Huh.
And ow.
Sorry.
That hurt my ear.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had to get my my phone charger because my phone is like
at like 12%.
That's funny because mine's at 15. I got the power saver thing.
Yeah, I did too.
Popped
I was
up.
like, ah! Well, because we recorded, this is our second episode we recorded today, so my phone it just drains my phone. But
I know.
Anyway.
You know what was really funny is when I went out, when I told you, like, between the two episodes that were recorded, I said I was going to go run out and grab something to drink.
Yeah.
I did that, but then I got distracted and forgot to grab my charger, so...
Ay. Well, I guess it's a good thing that it's towards the end of this episode we can wrap it up. So.
Yeah.
But
Well, so anyway, from when we started our discussion about how we approach subjects with kids that are taboo and hard,
mm-hmm.
it's not hard to have conversations with my kids as long as I'm honest and straightforward about them.
Yeah.
Most of the time, they're trying to educate me.
Mm-hmm.
So because they've already heard a lot of this stuff on TV, but I honestly think that talking to them and being honest and straightforward with them and answering their questions honestly is way better than trying to beat around the bush about it, or just saying, if it's something you're uncomfortable with, say, let's have this conversation when I have a chance to think about how I can answer this question.
Yeah.
I've done that before, and they understand.
There's nothing wrong with that, and I think that your kids know a lot more than what you think they know. And
absolutely.
If they're coming to you and asking a question, it's because they really need to know, you need to look at it as a good thing. If your kids are coming to you and asking you a question about sex, drugs, alcohol, any of that, if they're coming to you and asking a question, the last thing that you want to do is shut them down and say,
and make them feel bad for asking.
We're not going to talk about that. What do you mean? You need to just say, and if you need a couple minutes or a day to, gather your thoughts and make sure you say the right things, like you said, it's fine. You can say, you know what, let's just give me a couple minutes. Let me gather my thoughts together, and then we'll come back and talk about this. But don't put it off for too long. Don't say, we'll talk about it in a week, because a week's going to be too long. It needs to be within a couple hours of that question being asked, because
absolutely
there's a reason why they're asking you that question, and you should be happy that they're coming to you and asking you that question. So don't make it taboo. It just doesn't, I mean, unless they're like 5 or 6 years old, then that's a different story. But
then buy them the book.
Yeah. If they're, buy them the Everybody Poops book and call it good.
Right.
But, if they're preteen and teenage years and they're asking you questions about that, you absolutely should be talking to them about it. So anyway, preach.
Yep.
So email us questions, comments, topic ideas at spikedcoffeeandsarcasm@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can hear us pretty much anywhere, but Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, Podbean, we're pretty much anywhere. I've seen in our statistics that people are listening to us on CastBox, Podcast Addict. We're pretty much everywhere, so just search for us and you'll find us. But
yep, and if you guys have any advice or ways that you deal differently than we do, we would love to hear that, because
for sure.
I'm always looking for new ways to talk to my kids about things. So if you have a way that works better, tell me, because I would love to hear it.
I would too. We can, we're here to help each other, and it's just like, in a workplace, everybody can gather ideas and we can bounce them off each other, and one way works for somebody, it may not work for somebody else, but you never know, it may work for somebody else. You just never know. So
absolutely,
we're here to help each other and get through these crazy, raising kids. So I just want
and just in case anybody is curious about the whole, I'll keep you updated on when my strike ends, because it's kind of fun not caring.
Yeah, I was going to say, how are you enjoying your vacation? Because it sounds kind of wonderful, actually.
Well, I hate, be honest, I don't want to walk out there and see my kitchen messy, but pretending like I don't care is easier than being angry all the time, so so that works.
Well, and when they run out of cups to drink something out of, then maybe they'll be like, maybe we should do the dishes. You could hope.
The other day, speaking of that exact situation, we were eating something and it needed a fork and they couldn't find a fork, so they used a knife. Oh, I know what it was. They needed a knife and they used the back of a fork because they couldn't find a clean knife. They used like the end of the fork to spread something on bread. Really? Just wash a freaking knife. How hard is that? Really?
It's hard. It's hard. For them, it's hard,
It is. And so, yeah. We'll see how long it takes for them to say, wait, Mom's not doing that.
Yeah. Well, good luck. I definitely want to know when they start actually doing something, because you might have to go out and buy some plastic silverware and paper plates, because I don't know.
Mark even suggested keeping stuff in our room. Like, I said, but then what do we do when we want to eat something? He's like, then we have forks and plates and stuff in our bedroom. I'm like, you are devious and diabolical. I like it.
Well, you gotta, all of your kids, especially your kids are all of teenage age. And they need to know how to fend for themselves. And they need to know how you do things when mom and dad are not around. So I fully support what you're doing. And if you want to hide things in your room, I fully support Mark's idea too. Because they need to look at the dishes and go, crap, we have no clean anything. What do we do? You know what to do, so do it.
Yep.
I fully support both of you. You all go. Because there may be a strike in my future too. We'll see. I don't know. It's harder for me to do.
I'll let you know how it...
Yeah, it's harder for me to do because I'm the only adult in the house. So it's a little bit harder, but It's
funny when they come and ask me, like, what do I do about this? I don't know. You might need to check in with me when I'm not on strike. Because right now I can't answer that question.
Nope. Sorry.
It's terrible.
It does not allow. I cannot answer that question. Sorry, kid. All right.
I'm sorry. Mom is out for the week.
Right? Wow. Okay.
So this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right, I'm going to eat my popcorn now and maybe go to the stupid grocery store.
Oh, I gotta go to the grocery store.
I hate
too.
the grocery store, Van.
I hate the grocery store too. We can hate it together. Bleh.
I wish that we lived in the same place so we could go together. Then that would be fun.
You know what? They have fries out here that have bars in the grocery store. Do you know?
I want to go.
I know. We could go every week. We could just have a girls' day at the grocery store and drink a couple beers and go grocery shopping. Although that could get kind of, I don't know. We might end up having.
You know
food
what would
fights.
even be better? Is being able to say, "Oh yeah, hon, we're going grocery shopping." We wouldn't be lying.
No, we wouldn't
We'd
be lying.
at Fry's having a beer.
Yep, we're at Fry's and
Okay.
we are grocery shopping. We're just having a pre-shopping beer. That's all it is.
They have grocery stores that have like little daycares.
Oh yeah, they
Little
used to have them
areas
here. Yeah.
that-
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. What
Yeah,
else?
well.
All right.
All right.
We're saying goodbye now.
Well, I'll talk to you later. Goodbye now.
Goodbye now.